Welcome to episode 3 of Hip Hop History. This is our first album breakdown episode. We're going to start with a classic album, Man on the Moon, End of Day by Kid Cudi. This is Cudi's debut studio album, released September 15th, 2009, a concept album narrated by fellow artist Common. It follows the release of his first mixtape, A Kid Named Cudi, released in 2008. Production was handled by several producers including Cudi, Kanye West, Emil Haney, Plain Pat, No ID, Dot the Genius, and Jeff Basker, among others. Man on the Moon, The End of Day spawned 3 singles that attained chart success: Day and Night, Make Her Say, and Pursuit of Happiness. To further promote the album, he toured with Asher Roth and Lady Gaga. Man on the Moon, The End of Day received general positive reviews from critics, praise for its music composition and different approach to being a hip-hop record. Aside from being included on critics' lists for the best albums of the year, Man on the Moon, The End of Day received 3 Grammy nominations. The album debuted at number 4 on both the US Billboard 200 and the US Rap Album charts. It later became double platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America. He had previously worked with mentor and fellow rapper Kanye West on his 2008 record, 808s and Heartbreak, co-writing 4 hits for it. The record was originally titled Man on the Moon, The Guardians, but its subtitle was later changed to The End of Day. Artist Andy Kaufman inspired the new title. Cudi had planned for this record to be the first of a trilogy, the next edition being titled The Ghost and the Machine. Although Cudi had a message in every track, he chose to avoid using dense lyrics, explaining that he did not want to write material that he would not actually say or use in real life, adding that being true to yourself entirely was meaningful to him. "I don't speak like a fucking nerdy guy. I speak like a regular dude," he remarked. He also wrote that in Day and Night, after the death of his uncle, the two were not on speaking terms after his uncle forced him out of the home before Cudi could find another living situation. A bitter Cudi never apologized to him before his death, which he now regrets. Beginning in the 4th grade and getting more tense after his father's death when he was 11, Cudi began dreaming of his own death, which usually was in an automobile accident. He channeled these things into his material. Cudi recorded the album from 2007 to 2009. Man on the Moon, The End of Day was recorded in Avex Recording Studios in Honolulu, Hawaii, the Broski Room, Chung King in New York City, and the Jim Henson and Recording Plant in Hollywood. Man on the Moon, End of Day's influence continues to be felt in both hip-hop and in pulp culture. Numerous publications have cited Man on the Moon as having significant influence on subsequent hip-hop music and has been described as a classic. Travis Scott, Kyle, Logic, Isaiah Rashad, Rory, and Lil Yachty have all cited Kid Cudi and the album as influential to their music. This album has influenced more than just the artists mentioned above, but the sound and landscape of the culture in general. Now to the album breakdown for Man on the Moon, End of Day. We will go through the song names, writers, producers of the tracks. This album, being a concept album, is divided into 4 acts. Act 1, The End of Day, In My Dreams, Cutter Anthem. The writers were Scott Muscady, aka Kid Cudi, and Emil Haney. It was also produced by Emil Haney. Track 2, Soundtrack to My Life. Writer, Scott Muscady. Producer, Emil Haney. Track 3, Simple As, is written by Scott Muscady, Pat Reynolds, Andy McCluskey, and Paul Humphrey. Producer was Plain Pat. Act 2 is Rise of the Night Terrors. Track 4, Solo Dolo, or Nightmare. It was written by Muscady, Thomas Brennick, Dave Guy, and Lionel Michaels. It was produced by Emil Haney. Track 5 is Heart of a Lion, or the Kid Cudi theme music. Writers were Muscady, Jean-Baptiste, and Michael McHenry. Producers, Free School. Track 6 is My World featuring Billy Craven. The writers are Scott Muscady, Reynolds, Jeff Basker, Claude Plutterflam, Christian Padovan, and Jared Kaczynski. Producers are Plain Pat and Jeff Basker. Act 3 is Taking a Trip. Track 7, Day and Night, or Nightmare. Writers were Scott Muscady and Oladipo Omashore. Producers, Dot the Genius and Scott Muscady. Track 8 is Sky Might Fall. The writers were Scott Muscady and Kanye West. Producers, Kanye West and Scott Muscady. Track 9, Intergalactic Love Connection Part 1. Writers were Scott Muscady and Matt Friedman. Producer, Matt Friedman. Act 4, Stuck. Track 10, Alive, or Nightmare. Writers, Scott Muscady, Evan Mast, and Mike Stroud. Producers, Rat-a-tat. Track 11, Cudi Zone. Writers, Scott Muscady and Emil Haney. Producer, Emil Haney. Track 12, Make Her Say, featuring Kanye West and Common. Writers for this track, Scott Muscady, Kanye West, Lonnie Lynn, Stephanie Germanato, Nadir Kayat, Rashid Fathim, Nathan Baker, Brendan Prescott, Christopher Henderson, Brandon Malakun, James Brown, John Conte Jr., Tarish Nash, and Jamie Foxx. Produced by Kanye West. Track 13, Pursuit of Happiness or Nightmare, featuring MGMT and Rat-A-Tat. Writers were Scott Muscady, Evan Mask, and Mike Stroud. Producers, Rat-A-Tat. Act 5, A New Beginning. Track 14, Higher, featuring Chip the Ripper. Writers were Scott Muscady, Christian Kala, Charles Worth, Kenneth Gamble, and Leon Huff. Produced by Creda. Track 15, Up, Up, and Away. Writers, Scott Muscady, Jean Baptiste, Michael McHenry, and Aline White. Produced by Free School. Sample credits for the album include Simple As, contains a sample of ABC, or Auto Industry, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. And the Dreams, or Cutter Anthem, contains a sample of Biceps, performed by Gernergy and Matthias. Solo Dolo contains a sample of The Traitor, performed by Minahan Street Band. Maker Say contains an interpolation of Poker Face, piano and vocal version, performed by Lady Gaga, and contains a sample of Let's Ride, performed by Q-Tip. Higher contains a sample of Early Morning Love, performed by Lou Rawls. Man on the Moon, the anthem, contains a sample of Aquarium, performed by No Such Thing. My World contains a sample of All What I Have, performed by Lee System Krapatuchik. Heart of a Lion contains an interpolation of You Make Me Feel Brand New, performed by The Stylistic. There were 10 producers involved in making the album that I mentioned above. There were 5 executive producers, being Kid Cudi, Emil Haney, Kanye West, Plain Pat, and Sylvia Rhone. Man on the Moon is approximately 56% singing and 44% rapping. By comparison, So Far Gone, released the same year, was 38% singing and 62% rapping. A big reason why the music on Man on the Moon resonated with so many was Cudi's honest depiction of his history with depression. In a Complex article, they tracked that Cudi rapped about loneliness 84 lines, existential pain 51 lines, depression 46 lines, and anxiety 29 lines. At this time, his most common way of dealing with his issues were drugs, with 200 lines. Kid Cudi's first album, Man on the Moon, will continue to live in high regard amongst many new artists as well as many old artists. Cudi's sound changed the game. As much as we give credit to Kanye West's 808s and Heartbreak, it's truly Kid Cudi who influenced Kanye West at that time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Hip Hop History. Please subscribe on whatever streaming service you use and leave a review if possible. Thank you.